Hello my stitchy friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is Thursday and I'm sitting down to do a little bit of stitching. Really nice of you to join me, and you're probably not very familiar with the one that I'm about to start working on here. I have sort of got a bit of a head start. This is called A Lady Sewing in an Interior. And this is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart, which was actually one of the freebies that was given away by the website. And I don't think you can get it any longer. So I apologize if you really like it and you really want it. I don't have access or any means to get it, make it available for you. This is one of the free charts that was given out. And I don't know if it's available somewhere else. So it is a bit of a shame. But it is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart, and I think it's a regular. I remember I was talking about this chart in a different video, and I was saying about how I had cropped off a page size. I think it's about 10 squares above, all the way to the right. I had decided to crop because I felt like I wasn't going to lose anything on this picture by cropping the top part of it. And so I've started there, and I'm sort of working my way through the top left corner here. I started doing some blocks from left to right, then I came down and did from right to left. Then I came down and did left, right, and I sort of snaked along like that. Then I decided I wanted to do a diagonal because I like to switch between diagonals and blocks. That's just what I do. I do that all the time. I can't help it. So today I'm sort of having a diagonal day, and so there's a little bit here that I had left to do, but obviously I was too excited to go back to diagonal, so I just thought, I'll just leave that for another time. And I'm going to start down on this diagonal here, so please join me and stay a while so we can have a little chat. I don't really have a lot of chat today again, but hopefully I'll be able to keep a pace. Now, it's really kind of awkward the way I've got the camera and I have to kind of lean forward. But hey ho, hopefully we'll get this underway. So this chart is, I thought this chart was really pretty. It's just something that appealed to me. And I thought, well, if it's free, why not just get it? I'm working it on my go-to, which is 10 stitch with 2 strands, and I'm doing this on 25 count, and this is kind of my go-to method with HAEDs and full coverage. I am doing my stitch along, my HAED stitch along. Hold on, I've already made a mistake. That stitch there isn't part of the show. See, I start talking and I don't even look and see what I'm doing. My HAED stitch along I'm doing as a full cross with 1 strand on 22 count, I believe it is. So you're probably wondering why I just went ahead and started this one, and well, I don't know. I just got into the mood and I just fancied to change it up a bit. I've been doing my regular rotation for so long, like over a year now, or even longer. I've been working on Riverwalk Charm and Sad Fairy and been constantly working on them. And I just thought, you know what, if I don't do something different soon, I'm going to go completely nuts. So I just thought, you know, I'm just going to start. I'm going to add this one because I did download it. I think it was around Christmas time. I think that's going to be the end of my thread now. Around Christmas time, I downloaded this one, and I definitely wasn't up for starting it straight away because I had other things that I was putting my mind to. So, but I knew it was, you know, I think it was originally we were going to do a sale at the start of 2025. But hey, who's going to wait till 2025, right? I think I started Happy Village instead, which I have been working on. To be fair, I have been plugging away on most of my ones, even if I've had new starts, I've been plugging away on them. A little bit here and a little bit there, it all adds up at the end of the day. Isn't that right? Now I've got a huge bunch of colours going on here that I really do have to keep out of the way. So I was doing like a little bit of cross country on here at some point, but only within a controlled area. And then I decided, oh, after a while I get tired of going back and filling in little gaps, and I prefer to have a more consistent, you know, organized left and right marching down. So I did away with the little bit of cross country. I'm going to park this one over here, I think, because it's closer. Everything's a little bit tight. Teeny bit tight. Never mind. It'll all get worked in. Nothing to worry about. It all gets worked in. I just find that snaking method, I know it's not for everybody, but I just find that for me, it's more relaxing. I can watch TV, I can watch Netflix, I can do, you know, listen to someone talking to me, I can do all that stuff, and I don't have to keep counting down or too far away. And it just gives my brain a little bit more capacity to be aware of something else that's going on in the room. I mean, I don't try to do too many things while I'm stitching, but I like to have maybe something on in the background or listening to a book or something like that. That does actually work pretty well for me. New colour. And yeah, so I don't feel like it's very exciting at the moment because we're onto this. The top corners are usually never very exciting, let's face it. They're not. But we know that there's better things to come, and it won't be long if we keep plugging away. It won't be long before we see something interesting pop up, and it's probably going to be the lady's head somewhere a bit further down because she's sitting in the center sewing. It's very sort of vintage looking, and I kind of like the peaceful aspect of it. Stitching in a different century. Okay, I'm going to do a loop start here. So today is very cloudy, not dark, just a little bit overcast, and not a bad day for going out, but not a fantastic day. So that's, we've had, to be fair, we've had some really nice sun for a few days, and it's actually got too hot on some of those days. I had a friend visit me over the weekend, and I was really hoping on the Sunday that I could take her, that we could go down to the pier down by the sea and grab some fish and chips or something traditional. Well, we did do that, but there was no sun really. It didn't rain, but it was just sort of dark and yeah, a little bit grey. But it didn't prevent us from going out anyway. And so that was quite nice. And it was a very brief visit, but it's always nice to catch up with people, especially people that come from home, you know, like back home, that you haven't seen for a long time, and you can sort of catch up on all the news and everything. And it's a bit nostalgic as well, because like I went to school with this lady, so you know we've got history. We've got history as far back as when we were like 15 years old. So yeah, there's a lot of history, and you kind of feel like going back home again when you meet people like that. So it's a little bit bittersweet as well, because I have to say I did get a bit upset when she left. I'm not going to lie, because I really don't like saying goodbye to people knowing that I'm not going to see them again. Probably not going to see them again for ages. Yeah, I'm not good with that. But hey ho, we have to be grateful for what we get. So I was really pleased as punch that she came to spend a couple of days, and I can't really complain. Oh, so many browns. Brown, brown, brown. The thing with starting a new diagonal is you got to start all the new threads again, and the loops and the starts and the whatnots. And I mean, even though you've got all your colours pending over there, you still got like colours missing where you're actually working. So I want to say thank you to all of you that left messages on my last video, and also for telling me about the things that you're working on. I do go and look them up to see sort of things that you're working on, and it's really interesting to see. I don't get enabled as much as I used to, because I think after a while, after stitching a while, you kind of realize what your capacity is, even though we do still tend to ignore it from time to time. There is that. But generally, the longer you stitch things that are full coverage for, the more in tune you are with, I'm never going to finish this, or I'm never going to do that. And you start reining yourself in just a little bit. At the beginning, it's too exciting, and you just start collecting loads of things. I don't know if anybody else is doing this one. Actually, I haven't seen any evidence as yet of anyone doing this chart, so it'd be interesting to see if anybody is. And even though it's kind of all browns and everything, it doesn't matter. I'm still sort of enjoying doing something a little bit different from time to time. I am going to go back to do a little bit here. I've got a lot done on Riverwalk Charm. I've managed to reach the bridge section of that chart. So I am so close to 50% now, which was meant to be the goal for the end of the year, and I'm just almost there. And I have actually reached 50% on my Sad Fairy, so that one is, yeah, goal complete. And so I'm kind of working a little bit more on Ocean, which one was it? Sorry, Happy Village. Working a little bit more on Happy Village to kind of get those stitches in. And then I started this one. And there's also another couple of bits and bobs that I'll have to come tell you about later, but I don't want to go into those right now. I can do those on a different day, on a different time. So you can see this is all quite nice for TV stitching. Really quite nice. As long as you don't have a battle with your threads. Park this one. I have to say it's probably because I've just gotten so used to doing tent now that if I went back to try and doing full crosses on here, I would probably miss out a load of crosses, because my brain is now attuned to doing half a stitch. So there's always that danger, and vice versa, I guess, if you're doing the full cross and you switch to tent at the beginning, your brain is not going to always pay attention to what you're doing. We go a bit like autopilot, don't we? One, two. So I went out, there's not much news really, but I went out to a shopping centre and with my son, who is off school at the moment. He's a teenager, and we went to a craft store, and he bought one of these model aircraft things because he's really at the moment he's really into aircrafts and stuff like that. And it's one of those kits, it's a plastic one, and it's one of those model kits that you have to make up and paint, and he's never done anything like that before. So I was like, it's quite pricey, and I wasn't sure if he was actually going to do it, but I thought, well, he's got long school holidays ahead of him. He's not an outgoing boy. So if that's what he wants, great. At least he's showing some interest in something, and who knows, it might, spark off a nice little hobby for him where he can do something away from the computer screen. So he brought it back, and this is this was a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. It still hasn't come out of the box. And I keep saying to him, are you going to bring this out so we can take a look at it with you, and we can give you a hand, or we can read the instructions with you? And yeah, that's kind of the answer I get. But what we have realized is that it does need extra bits like paints, and it needs, we need to get brushes, and there's all sorts of stuff that's not included that we need to get. So my plan is to try and convince him, or really persuade him, to come out with me again at some point, or his dad, and go and get these little extras, and maybe he'll sit down then. It's really very tricky because you don't want, if you go on about it too much, it comes across as nagging, and then they're just completely not interested, because they'll feel because I really want him to do it, he's going to take that stance of, I definitely, don't want to do it because she's being a pain. So I've been not mentioning it hardly until he mentions it or something. And then I say stuff like, well, I could really help you with that, or something like that. And fingers crossed behind my back, he'll get more motivated. So it's a very strategic game of psychological game of not nagging and not completely avoiding the whole issue. I'm sure some of you parents out there must surely know what I'm talking about, because the minute you start telling them to do something, that's it. It'll be the world will end before they even want to do it. And then if you drop the subject completely, they might pick it up. So yeah, oh dear me, it's hard work, I tell you, hard work. And it's not like I even want to do it myself, but I just want to see him getting interested in something other than a computer screen, because he's not at all interested in outdoor activities in the slightest. So there's not even any point, and he wouldn't enjoy it. So finding things that he can do here that he really likes, yeah, it's a challenge, all right. It really is. I'm going to do another stitch at this end. This is something else in the diagonal that I don't see a lot of people have mentioned. It's because you're snaking from left to right and right to left. Say, for instance, this colour I've got in my hands now. If I'm snaking from left to right, and there's one stitch on the first instance on the row beneath, I just do it when I've done the first stitch at the top, then I do the first stitch at the bottom, and then I continue on the top row. Because otherwise, when I get to the end, I'll have to bring my thread, carry it all the way to the back, to the beginning again, just to do the first stitch on the second row. Whereas if I've already done it now, like that, I've already done the first stitch on the second row, I don't have to carry my thread so far. And there has been instances where I've actually taken up 2 threads of the same colour because they're on opposite sides of the row. And I think, oh, I have to carry the thread all the way from the beginning to the end just to do 1 stitch and come back again to the other side. So I think, no, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? If you can pick up that stitch whilst you're down there anyway. It does kind of mess up your snaking, your nice little snaking movements, but it's not set in black and white, is it? It's not that simple. Nothing's ever that simple. These symbols are like kind of all over the place to the point where they'll drive you nutty because they're everywhere. Or you get, say, a black stitch in the first stitch, a black stitch at the end of that row, then a black stitch at the beginning of the next row. And you think, oh, so you have to kind of ping from one side of the diagonal to the other side and back again. So I just go, no, surely it makes more sense to do the first 2 and then go and do the one at the end. I hope I'm explaining myself well here. I don't know if I am. So often I've got 2 threads basically in the diagonal that are the same colour often. For that reason. So I'm not carrying threads from left to right and right to left all across. So it can get a little bit confusing after a while, but I think if you keep track of what you're doing, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. See, I think if I wasn't quite so fast at threading my needle, every time I say that, I can't thread my needle. As soon as I mention that. But generally, normally, I'm pretty quick at threading my needle. If I wasn't, there is no way I would be doing this particular method because it would take me forever just to get anything done. Whereas I've already done a few rows. Okay, stitch here. I do jump over I don't have a problem jumping across the row over 2 or 3 stitches. I don't really care about how that affects the back because I think for me it's a compromise. I just really couldn't go stitch by stitch by stitch by stitch, parking as I go along the row. That would drive me to distraction. I need to at least be able to pick up one colour and do everything along that row at least and park it in the row below. I'll even sometimes do 2 rows of stitches and then park it below that, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do 2 stitches on the row beneath and then going from top right to bottom left, and then I'm going to park it in the row beneath that, so I'll park it in the 3rd row because that just speeds things up a little bit, just a little bit. More about efficiency rather than speed, I think, because I'm not trying to win a race or anything, but it's about learning to be more efficient. You pick up your own little tricks and things to be able to, you know, feel like you're not being all slow and awkward. I've got 2 of this colour on the go. There's a lot of greens and a lot of browns. It doesn't look exactly like it looks in my mock-up. My mock-up doesn't look quite as dark. I'm hoping it's not going to be hugely dark because that would be annoying. But I do like the picture anyway. There is a possibility it's going to be dark. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Doesn't really matter. Just being a bit fussy there when I say I hope it's not too dark. I'm sure once I get into it a bit, it'll start to all come together. because these things often look really nice. Well, to me, they only really look the best when they're up on the wall, because when you're looking at them this close, all you see is the little faults and the way the stitches have stretched and the little tiny flecks of white. Once you've got it up, trust me, because I've framed 3 of them now, once you have it up, you just don't see anything from the fabric behind. Nothing at all. Once it's covered by the glass and up on the wall, there's just no way. There is a bit of counting going on here because I am snaking. And I think I've also mentioned, because I try to get all the answers to what I'm doing. I try to get everything in in most of my videos, because otherwise I get lots of questions, which I know I've answered before, but obviously a lot of you haven't seen all the previous videos, so you don't realize that I've already spoken about it or I've already talked about it. But these are just things that are coming up in my head that I know people have asked me in the past or in comments. So there is questions that there is stuff that I try to just throw in there, just to, yeah, just so that you know, in case you come back and ask again or somebody wants to know. And another thing is that I'm not feathering because I don't get tension lines. And somebody asked me why I don't get tension lines. And I said, well, I don't know, because I don't get them. But what I think is because I do all the parking on the right side. So I'm carrying threads underneath the canvas from this side to this side. So it's covering any gaps along that edge. So there won't be lots of gaps. And I don't know if it's got anything to do with the direction I'm going in, or as in bottom left, top right of the stitch. I don't know if that makes a difference. And I also don't pull my stitches very tightly. That's another thing. So I'm just guessing that that's why I don't get lines, but I haven't seen with my naked eye. I haven't watched another person stitching who does get lines to see what it is that they're actually doing, because you might get a sense that they're pulling tight or something like that. Right, something going on here that I'm not sure about. So where is that stitch? I'm going to park here because I think this one is wrong. We'll find out now. If I think a thread is wrong, I tend to just cut it, because if not, actually, is that 3799? Okay, I could be working the wrong color here, chaps. Okay, so this one is supposed to be black. Yep, that's black. That one's supposed to be grey. Yeah, that's grey. And that one's also supposed to be grey, so I don't know why that one's there. That one. I think, let me see what colour that is. Yeah, that's a green. Okay, so that one is in the wrong hole. So if you ever get stuck and you don't know what your colour is, just check with your bobbins or whatever. And if you're really not sure, just cut it off. I cut it off from the front, and then I just wind it back up, put it into my bobbin case and forget about it, instead of spending hours trying to figure out where it goes. But I just recognized the color and I know what symbol that color is, so I've moved it. I moved it to the right place. It doesn't happen often, because if you get too many colors sometimes, keep parking, putting the parking symbol on the wrong square. If you've got too many colours, sometimes you can't make out. It's a bit of a faff to find out where the colour's supposed to go, so just cut it off and put it away. And you can get that colour again the next time. Yep, that's simple. So normally now I can get about 200 stitches done in an hour of snaking, which I think is pretty good because I am rethreading my needle pretty constantly, which isn't a bother to me at all, by the way. I think I made a mistake again. That doesn't go there. What colour am I using? Is that meant to be black? Yeah. I think I've done something again. Hang on. The black is there. Okay, I'm going to end this thread now. Here's another look at ending a thread. I bring it down and I chip off, leaving a tiny, tiny tail at the front. That's it. That's pretty much it. I just do not like to faff about with it. It's just the easiest way for me to do it. It mightn't be the best way, but it's the easiest. And even if it comes out, it's still going to get covered up at the back, because there's just too much stuff going on above it for it to not get covered up. I just cannot be bothered with all these waste threads and stuff like that. It would drive me potty. It's bad enough having all these part threads. If I was to have waste threads as well, I think I would lose my mind. No kidding. So yeah, compromise again. Swap one evil for another evil. You know, sometimes you get a thread that just is so opposed to going into the eye of the needle that you'd think it was like, I don't know, a lifelong goal to never be threaded. It's just like so adamant, I'm not getting in there. And you have to cut the end off the thread to make it obey. Snip its head off. Keep going. You are getting in there no matter what. And then it starts fraying at the end when you try to do it as well. Oh. Okay. I am going speedy guns with this, I think. Actually, with the threading and everything. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, I'm going to do this stitch because it's the end of my diagonal. And I think I'm going to cut the thread because it's not going to last me very long. Off you go. That's the end of black. And then I'll do this one. So notice how I did those two stitches and then I went to go and do this one above the corner. I'm going to do the one above, and that's what I think is, I do efficiency, because otherwise I would have to park my thread, do this one, then go back and do the other stitch, which for me is a bit silly. So there's two stitches there, do it and then go back and do the one. Okay, something's wrong here. Two. No, I haven't done that stitch. Still on this one. Okay, right, I have another thread of this color already. I want to see how long it is. How long is this thread? It's not hugely long. Let me bring this one down. 2, 3, 4, down. pull down and keep it in the mix. Then we've got this one. Almost on a whole square. If you think about it, it's the same as a square, it's just a square that's going sideways. I think this blue is really mixing in nicely. I don't know if you can see that well, but I think the blue is mixing in really nicely with the browns, actually. It's giving it a really nice tone. There's lots of number 823 scattered around there. And I'm quite surprised I don't have a lot of cat hair in it, which is quite surprising because usually if I'm working with dark colours, I'm kind of incorporating the cat's fur into my stitching, and with her being a sort of cream colour, it's really noticeable. She's cream hairs and white hairs. It's really noticeable in my darker colours. Which really did irritate me at the beginning, but now I'm just like, oh, whatever. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. There are just some things, right, that you just have to let go. You just can't let them drive you nuts. Right, I don't know how many stitches I've done in this session because I actually started doing some of this morning. I finished this diagonal here, but I'm now at 152. Oh, I've got a thread over here. Okay, so I'll park this one. Here, I think. I have to be more careful with my parking, that I have noticed, because I've started going quickly and just making mistakes as to where I'm parking, and it actually doesn't save any time, because as what happened before, I have to go looking to see where that thread was supposed to go initially, which is really quite frustrating. So yeah, word of advice, try not to speed ahead and park quickly without really counting, because yeah, you'll have to do more than just counting to fix it. And it's quite funny because some people want to go really, really quickly and others seem to enjoy the slower pace. And I think that's all to do with character, really. It's just what every person likes their stitching life to be like, or their stitching session. And for me, I think some days it does vary. Sometimes I want to be really more methodical. Other times I'm in a let's get this done kind of mood. So it can vary, definitely. All that for one stitch, never mind. Please don't do that too often. This is exactly why I would not do a max color chart, because I do not like ninjas. I don't mind confetti, I can deal with confetti, but ninjas, when you get the one stitch in the middle of nowhere, no, thank you. Not for me. It just would slow me down way too much, having to keep changing my thread to do one stitch and then cutting it and getting another thread and then changing my thread to do one stitch. That would kill me. Yeah, again, compromise. I think some people really love And no question that that's fantastic. It really does make a huge difference to really put in all those colours. But you have to want to do it. My tea's gone cold. Okay. We have, lo and behold, another brown. Can never have too much brown in your life, right? Okay. Let's go again. So for the moment, I'm going to stick with diagonals. Ask me again in 2 weeks' time whether I'm still doing diagonal. There's a good chance I might be, and then there's a good chance I won't be. Who knows? That's the fun of the game. It doesn't even matter, like, if I switch per week. I just do whatever I fancy doing. What is a bit of a shame is having a beautiful diagonal, long one, and then suddenly just ruining it by going into blocks. And I've done that before. I've done it a few times, and then I've gone back to diagonal, so I've had to do quite a bit of extra stitching to get back to a diagonal. Maybe that is, I don't know for sure, but maybe that is what is makes it interesting, is changing the technique and then changing it back to what it was before, or something like that, is like a bit of a challenge. I don't know, could be that. I think there's a lot of psychology involved in stitching. I'm not kidding. I think stitching has got a lot to answer for, like the way we do it and the method, technique, and the speed and the everything. It's all like really interesting. Who knows what it could tell us if it was properly analysed by a stitching psychologist or psychiatrist, somebody in the know with a great scientific mind could, sit and look through all our videos and say, well, I think she's got no patience for anything in her life. Look how quickly she stitches. And that lady there is very slow and patient. I think it would be interesting, but there could be stuff that we don't want to know about probably as well. I wonder what they would say about all the new starts. That would be a very interesting one. How we suddenly wake up one morning and before the end of day, there's a newly kitted up, unpre-planned or non-pre-planned thing on our stands. That is just too funny. Yeah, so we could all just wonder about what it all means, but at the end of the day, the important factor is that we're enjoying it. And that's what it all boils down to. It doesn't matter about how we do it. It doesn't even matter when we do it. It just matters that we want to do it and that we get something out of it. Otherwise, it's all meaningless, really. At the end of the day, it's just a needle, fabric and threads that have got no feelings, and they've got no, allegiance to us. They've got no connection or attachment to us. So if we just, say for instance, we packed everything up and dumped it, nothing would happen. The earth would continue to go on. Everything would remain the same. We just wouldn't have our stitching stuff. It isn't something that's living and breathing. But yet it's important to us, so we need to acknowledge that and make sure that we're enjoying it. I don't think there's going to be much change happening here soon, if I'm honest. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these greys and browns for a while to come, so I may have to plod on with this a little bit longer before I come back and show you anything else. Because I'm not sure if you want to just continue seeing pages of brown, to be honest. But if you do, let me know. Quite happy to come back and do another stitch with me. Okay, that was a little pain to thread. So as you can see, I'm doing quite a hard edge, no feathering, and I don't see lines. Possibly as well it helps that they're all black, I don't know. They're all dark. I do not know. I think I'm going to end this thread now because it's getting a bit, yeah, awkward. As soon as the threads get awkward, they have to go. Now we're on the bottom line of this square. I'm actually feeling quite tired today, like, I don't know, kind of in the way that I don't want to go to sleep, I don't want to lie down, but I don't want to do much. That kind of tired. But I'm glad that I set up and actually took the time to sit down and stitch with you, because that's been nice. Got a little bit distracted. Hold on. It's been interesting to see all the Christmas in July things that everyone's been doing on flosstube. That has been interesting. It's even more interesting to me that it's like Christmas in July and not like Christmas in June or April or May. It just happens to be July. That's really cool. Okay. I'm paying particular attention because I've got 2 colours on the go around here that are the same colour, which is okay. And then I've got 4 in a row here. I mean, it's pretty heavy confetti here at the moment, but some of the colours, I've got double threads here. So I don't want to mess that up because that's messing that up. Yeah, and I've actually got 3. I think I've got 3 colours here that are oh, what have I done? Okay, I'm just going to park this one now because I'm not sure. That one's green. I don't think that one should be green. Let me see. I think I've lost it. I think I've done one. Okay. I'm going back out. Sometimes this turns into like a huge puzzle game. And I'm not really into puzzle games. I'd rather just get it done than be figuring things out. I know what I've done. It's all because of my lack of parking. Symbols, I don't put parking symbols on Pattern Keeper. Then I haven't got a clue what the parking symbol is there for. Which is really... Oh, I think I'm squaring it up now. Okay, yeah, I think I've got 1, 2, 3. Those 2 colours are the same. So I think I don't need this colour. I'm going to park it outside the diagonal. I don't want to have 3 colours on the go inside the diagonal because that's just no point. No point having that. So if I've got a spare thread, I'm going to park it outside. Then I can come down to it on the next diagonal. Yep, that makes sense to me. But the reason I need 2 colours is because I've kind of got symbols going down, the same symbol going down on either side of the diagonal. So like I said, I don't want to do the zigzag thing with the thread. So I've got 2 threads on the go. It's more of a pain in a way because I have to unthread, I have to rethread to do the other side, and then rethread to do the same symbol on the other side. However, it prevents the back from getting completely messed up with bulk. I really don't want that to happen. So I do have to be careful that I'm not unnecessarily carrying in silly ways, which I think zigzagging from the first stitch to the 10th stitch and then back to the first stitch and then the 10th stitch and then back to the first, something like that is going to be a lot of carrying down the middle of the diagonal. But I'm not sure if this colour is the same as this colour, even though these 2 colours don't quite look the same, or they do. I can't even tell now. My eyeballs are just saying, oh, are just screaming actually, because I'm not sure. They look kind of the same, but they're not kind of the same. Oh my goodness, I have to get out of these browns. I just have to get out of these browns. How far have we got to go to get out of the browns? Pretty far. Further down, we've got heaps of grey, heaps and heaps of grey. And we've also got tons of, we're still in like greys and browns. And what colour is the lady's hair going to be? Well, she's got lilacs in there. Greens, lilacs, greys. Yeah. It's a lot better. We have to get down there super quick. Get out of these browns. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop it there. I'm sure you probably had enough of me by now. And my, yakking. So, thank you for joining me. I've really enjoyed it. If I've left anything out about this information in this chart, please let me know. I don't know where it can be found to look at. I have put a picture up for you to see it at the beginning of the video. And if you know anyone who's doing it, let me know, because I'd be interested to see who else is going through this slog of browns the same as me. Or perhaps, I know some people have it and haven't started it. Maybe I can enable you to start it with me, and we can work on it together. I'm not feeling sorry for you if you start in the top left corner, I have to say. But please do, and let me know if you're doing it and send me a photo, because I love that. My email address is in this description box. So anyway, you take care now, and I will be back again very soon. Have a great end of the week and have a great weekend too. Bye.